Have you ever felt like rules and structure just get in the way of real creativity? Well, we're going to flip that whole idea on its head. We're diving into what's called the governance paradox, this really surprising idea that a solid framework doesn't actually crush freedom, it creates it. So, let's see how rules can actually set you free to create something amazing.
This quote from digital governance expert Lisa Welchman just hits the nail on the head. She's not seeing governance as some rigid, boring control system. No, for her, it's the underlying rhythm of jazz. It's that shared structure that lets the musicians really soar and improvise. And that's the paradox we're exploring.
Okay, let's just run with that for a minute. What if your company wasn't some rigid hierarchy, but more like a jazz band? You know, a group of super talented people, each a master of their instrument, all coming together to create something incredible. Sounds great, right? But for that magic to happen, they all have to be reading from the same sheet music. So before the band can even start playing, we have to talk about the problem that structure is there to solve. Because, let's be honest, without a framework, you don't get beautiful music, you just get noise, you get chaos. Yeah, does this sound a little too familiar? This is the reality when there are no clear rules or roles. You've got different teams pulling in totally different directions, the brand message gets all muddy, and nobody's really sure who's supposed to be in charge. It's just a mess, a total cacophony, and it's the exact opposite of a smooth jazz session. And this is where governance steps in. It's the system that's literally designed to bring order to all that chaos. And look, it's not about adding bureaucracy just for the sake of it. It's about creating a clear, effective, and fair way to operate that actually balances the needs of everyone involved, from your employees and customers to your investors. And make no mistake, the stakes here are incredibly high. I mean, bad governance isn't just some small annoyance. It can absolutely destroy a company. It leads to a confused brand, it swings the door wide open for security threats, and ultimately, it just erodes trust and profitability. So, how do we fix all that? Simple. We write the sheet music. This means we lay down the fundamental principles that are going to guide every single member of our organizational band. And that sheet music, it's built on these 5 pillars. They might seem simple, but wow, are they powerful. First, accountability. That just means everyone knows their part and owns it. Then, transparency, making sure communication is open and clear. Fairness, treating everyone, all your stakeholders, with respect. Responsibility is about always acting in the company's best interest. And finally, risk management. That's about looking ahead and anticipating any sour notes. You put these 5 together, and you have a rock-solid foundation for everything else.
All right, the sheet music is written, now what? Well, it's time to assemble the band. This is the part where we make sure every single person knows exactly what instrument they're playing and what their part is in the bigger piece.
So, here's how that looks in the real world. Think of the governance board as your band leader, right? They're setting the overall direction. Marketing and communications, they're like your lead singer, managing the voice of the brand. IT, that's your rhythm section, keeping that technical foundation totally solid. And your editors and content creators, they're the soloists, handling the day-to-day creative riffs. See? When everyone knows their part, the music just flows. Okay, so the theory is great, but let's see what this actually looks and sounds like out in the wild. We're going to look at the difference between a band that is just locked in, playing a super tight set, and one that's completely, painfully out of tune. First, let's listen to the bad noise. This is the sound of poor governance, and it often leads to a total public performance disaster. A pretty clear example is Tesla. There was a period with a series of really conflicting and, frankly, misleading public statements about their self-driving tech. This created just a ton of confusion and mistrust. It was a classic failure of internal controls and having a consistent message. And the result? A criminal investigation and a major hit to their stock price. It just goes to show how poor governance can directly trash a company's reputation and its value. Phew, okay, enough of the bad noise. Now let's hear that beautiful harmony that happens when a well-governed organization is totally in sync, with every section working together perfectly. So check out Walmart. By putting in strong data governance, which is basically just rules for how they manage all their information, they were able to streamline their entire supply chain. This led to huge cost savings and happier customers. Or look at the Mayo Clinic in healthcare. They used a similar strategy to standardize patient data, which directly led to better patient care and more efficient hospitals. In both of these cases, it was the structure that enabled their success. So, after the big performance, what's the encore? What's the real ultimate payoff for putting in all this hard work to build a strong governance framework?
Well, the payoff is absolutely huge, and it all comes down to one critical word: trust. Good governance builds trust, which is the real currency in business today. It creates long-term stability, it cuts down on risk, and it makes you way more attractive to investors. At the end of the day, it's the framework that doesn't just allow for that brilliant improvisation, it ensures the band can keep playing for years and years to come.
So, this all comes back to you. Every single organization, every team has its own unique song to play, its own music to make. The question is, are you building the framework that's going to set your team free to really improvise and play the best music they possibly can? What does your sheet music look like?